I remember somebody asking me about Howard Hughes and asking me, do you know how much money Howard Hughes left behind? And I thought, no. And they said, all of it. You can't take it with you. Well, Bob, if he's working at the office and then he has to travel or go to another location, maybe he can't take all the resources on the corporate network with him as he goes. But check this out. We can securely provide that access even though Bob is on the road or at a remote location using SSL VPNs. And in this nugget, we're going to take a look at the concepts of how that's implemented and how that's done on a Palo Alto firewall. Let's begin. Now, one of the things that I noticed as I was putting together and verifying the SSL remote access VPNs was that there is a lot of little steps that have to be done. And what I want to do in this nugget is just talk with you for a few moments about the big picture and some of the tasks that we're going to do, and then we'll break up those tasks into separate nuggets, or at least groups of nuggets. So here's the concept and overview for remote access SSL VPN. We've got a user. I know Bob's been here, but you know what? Bob does not live at the office all the time. He's there for quite a bit of the time, but sometimes he actually goes home or he's traveling. So we're going to move Bob from here on the inside over to the internet. So Bob's over here. And what Bob would love to be able to do is to connect into his corporate resources and act as if he's on the local network, even though he's out here off of the internet. And the solution to doing that securely is we can build a VPN, a virtual private network, between where Bob is on the internet and the Palo Alto firewall to logically give Bob secure access to those internal resources. For example, this server or maybe other servers that are on the inside network, and we can control what access we give him. Now, in this course, our focus is on the configuration and verification of the Palo Alto firewall using technologies like SSL and TLS and VPNs. And if you need a basic foundation in the world of cryptography, including the basic concepts of cryptography or cryptographic protocols or the public key infrastructure and how that works concept-wise, I would encourage you to take a look at these three nuggets. Crypto concepts, crypto protocols, and PKI. Those are from the CompTIA Security Plus course right here at CBT Nuggets, if you need to brush up or become more familiar with those basic concepts. So to set up the virtual private network using SSL for Bob to access the internal resources, we are going to use a PKI certificate authority, the public key infrastructure. And the benefit of using a certificate authority out on the internet that Bob's browser already trusts is that we can install these certificates on the Palo Alto firewall, and then as Bob connects and establishes that beautiful VPN, his browser is not going to go, there's a certificate warning. Because we've trained our users, or hopefully we've trained our users to never continue in a production environment when they get a certificate that their browser cannot validate. So by using a certificate authority as part of the public key infrastructure and installing an identity certificate on the Palo Alto and also the CA's root certificate, that allows Bob, the client, to validate that he's talking to the actual correct device as he initiates and starts the process for his SSL VPN. Our next step is on the Palo Alto firewall, we're going to leverage an LDAP profile, which we have already set up previously in our nuggets together. And we've also set up an authentication profile. So we need to have those both present. And that will allow us to do the authentication of Bob as he connects to the Palo Alto via the VPN to be authenticated on an Active Directory server, presuming that Bob's user account is already set up and active in Active Directory. We're also going to create a new zone. Currently, check this out. We've got an inside zone, we have a DMZ zone, we have an outside zone, and we can also, for the purpose of security and for implementing different policies, we can create a VPN zone so that when Bob connects, we can logically dump him into a quote-unquote VPN zone, and then, my friend, you and I can set up security policies that control what traffic is allowed to go between the VPN zone and, for example, the inside, or between the VPN zone and the DMZ. And as part of that, we can create a logical tunnel interface and associate it with the VPN zone so that when Bob comes in, logically, he's associated with a tunnel interface that's associated with the VPN zone, and then he'll be under the control of the security policy that controls the initial flows of traffic between that zone and anywhere else. There's also a gateway referring to the Palo Alto firewall itself, and a specific portal configuration, which is referring to how Bob is going to connect and interact with the Palo Alto firewall. So we'll need to configure those details as well. And part of the beauty for a remote access SSL VPN is that when Bob connects with his browser, we can actually deliver the client software, the Global Protect software that Bob can then install on his computer over that initial SSL connection. And that's pretty sweet, because if we have Bob and 5,000 other people that we need to deploy the software on, we don't have to find another method for getting the software, the client software, to them. So the play-by-play would be Bob would connect via SSL. He could then download the client in the initial time, then just run the client to build the VPN, which would give him access to the inside networks. And then for the security policies, there's actually a couple that we're going to add. We're going to add security policies that are going to allow Bob to communicate between the VPN zone and other zones. For example, between the VPN zone and the inside, and between the inside and the VPN zone. And we're also going to have some policies that allow the initial SSL connection to the outside interface of the Palo Alto. I mean, we have to start the ball rolling. So if Bob tries to connect to https:// and the DNS name that resolves to this outside IP address on the Palo Alto firewall, the Palo Alto firewall by default is going to say, nope, I'm not allowing that. So we'll have an additional security policy that identifies SSL traffic and Global Protect traffic that's being sourced from the outside where Bob is, and also going to the outside where this IP address is. And we'll set that up as part of our security policy. And one other feature I'd like to mention is that when Bob launches the client and connects to the Palo Alto firewall, we can assign him a virtual IP address. Let's say, for example, here we have the 10.1.1 network on the inside, we have the 10.2.2 network on the DMZ, and maybe we create the 10.3.3 network for our VPN users. And then we can assign an IP address from that range to Bob for his connection over the VPN. As Bob connects to other servers and resources on the inside or DMZ networks, it will appear that Bob is coming from the IP address of 10.3.3. something, if that's the pool we use, as he communicates back and forth. And what's really happening is Bob's traffic is being sent over the VPN tunnel. The Palo Alto is then using the source address of 10.3.3.x, whatever that IP address is that was assigned for Bob's VPN connection, as the Palo Alto firewall then forwards the traffic onto his destination off of the inside zone or the DMZ zone or wherever that traffic is destined in the network. So I thought it was important for you and I to take a look at the high-level concepts and the process that we're going to go through to kind of give us a framework for what we're about to configure. And as I mentioned, we're going to break up these tasks into logical chunks that are easy to digest. And as we go through this process together, our objective is simple, and that is to implement and verify that Global Protect Remote Access SSL VPN is functioning. So I look forward to you joining me in the next couple of nuggets. Meanwhile, I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.